All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Uh, Today, I'm gonna talk about an incident that happened in 1993. I had been out probably like 5 or 6 months, and if you watch my other video, you'll know what I was busted for. It was two assaults with the use of a firearm that I had gotten 8 years for, and I did over 2 years and got out. Ended up doing 4 years on parole. So yeah, I got out in 1992, November 1992. And again, I was out for probably like 5 or 6 months. And one day I was running around in my neighborhood, and there was a dude that lived there. He was from another neighborhood over in more east, more east. I'm not gonna say where he was from, but his neighborhood was east of my neighborhood, not in Orange County, but close to it. Um, I can't say it's like the Bellflower, Santa Fe Springs, all that area. He was from over there. Anyways, he used to do tattoos, so a lot of my homeboys used to go get tattoos for him. And me and him got along, we got along really well. So one day I went to his house. I think one of my homies was getting a tattoo, so I went to his house, and he told me that his homeboys were having a party in another city next to ours, and that we were invited to go. We wanted to go out there and party. It was at a house. So I told him, all right, yeah, thanks for the invite. We'll probably show up out there. So it was that Saturday night coming up. So I got with my homeboys and I told them about this party, and they all knew him too. So I said he invited us to a party at his homeboy's house over, in the other city. So they were like, yeah, let's go. Let's go down there and hang out. So we all met up. I think we met up at the park, and we had 4 cars, and we packed them. We had, I don't know, maybe like 25 guys, probably like 3 girls. So we had people sitting on each other's laps and shit like that in the cars. But while we're there at the park, one of the girls that was there was one of my homegirls. And me and her had, we scammed on each other at one point, but there was no sexual relationship between me and her. Um, then we kind of had a falling out, and then, you know, we talked about everything, whatever. We became, friends again. So that night she was there, and she had told me, she's like, hey, tonight, is it cool if I hang out with you? You know, Pretty much she wanted to hang out and like scam with me. So I'm like, yeah, that's cool, whatever, I don't care. Just, stick by me through the whole night. So she's like, all right. So we take off to the party, and we get there. It's probably like about 9 o'clock at night. And, we pull up on the street where the house is at. We find the house, we park, and we all get out, and nobody goes to the door yet. We seen that there was like a couple big trash cans in the front yard, but nobody was out there. But you can hear the music, and you can see through it had a big, really big front window. It had curtains. The curtains were closed, but you could see the lights on. You could see people in there dancing. You see the silhouettes of them dancing, their shadows and shit. The music was really loud. So I remember when we got out, we were standing in the street. We all got together and shit, and um, we walked up to the front door. I walked up to the front door, and everybody came from behind. And I knocked on the door, and a guy answers it. And I don't know who he is. He answers the door, and he's like, he sees all of us there. I mean, you got like 25, 30 guys standing in the front yard. So he's like, who are you? What are you guys doing here? And I said, hey, so and so invite us over here. And he's like, is that right? Well, there's too many of you guys. You guys can't come in here. And I said, well, go talk to your homeboy. If he's here, go talk to him. He's the one who invited us over here. He's like, well, it's not his house, it's my house, and there's too many of you, so yeah, you guys can't come in. So it kind of pissed me off, that I drove all the way over there. This guy doesn't want to let me into the party. So he closes the door. So then I turn around and all the homeboys are just like, fuck that, let's just go in there. And I noticed that some of them were drinking beer, and I'm like, the fuck these guys get beer at? Because we didn't buy no beer. Well, turns out that the trash cans they had in the front yard were full of beer. I guess they must have been out in the front yard during the day. But there was a bunch of beer in these trash cans with ice. So I told everybody, I said, fuck these guys. Let's just hang out in their front yard and drink all their beer. That's what we did. We scattered out in the fucking front yard, started cracking beers. Well, what happened was I had a gun on me. I always had a gun on me. And I'm not gonna say what kind of gun I had. I mean, what caliber gun I had, but I had a gun on me. I can say it was a revolver because I always carry revolvers. I liked them because if I ever had to do anything, the shells never flew out and I can get rid of them. Or I didn't have to worry about wiping them down before I put them in the gun because I can get rid of them. When I got busted for my other case, I had a revolver. So I had a gun on me. So what I did is I went across the street, and that's another thing that I was always do when I was hanging out somewhere. I'd always stand by a car, and I'd always get my gun and I'd put it up on top of one of the tires under the car. And I wouldn't stand right in front of it, but I'd stand close enough that if I needed to get it, I can get over there and get it, grab it. But I wouldn't stand right there in case the cops came. They found it, like, well, you were the closest one to it. So I would put it under a tire, under the wheel well, and I'd stand away from it. So that's what I did. I took my gun out and I put it under the wheel well, one of the cars that we came in, and I stood over by the back of the car, and that girl was standing there with me. So everybody's just hanging out. We're standing in the street. Some people standing there in their grass and drinking the beer, and like, fuck it, we could hear the music, so we're just hanging out. I'm across the street, just watching, and I see a guy come from around the corner. He has the khaki shorts on, a white t-shirt on, some high socks and shit. He comes walking around the corner, and he's walking to the house. I'm not saying nothing to him. I'm just watching. Well, as soon as he gets on the grass, my homeboys get around him and surround him. And they're jamming him up, asking where he's from. Well, he's not from those guys' neighborhood. He's from another neighborhood. And that neighborhood, my neighborhood, didn't get along with. So they were about to start fucking him up. So what I did is I went and grabbed the gun and I went across the street and I told everybody to get away from him. And so everybody backs up and I pull out the gun on him and I say, what do you got in your pockets? I'm patting his pockets. He just has his hands like this and I'm just patting his pockets. He don't have shit on him. See if he has any money or any dope. He don't have nothing. While I'm doing that, the fucking front door opens. And the guy that answered the door the first time when we got there, he comes out, steps onto the porch, and he has a gun in his hand. And he's like, hey, what the fuck are you guys doing? That's my cousin, man. And he's telling his cousin, come on, get in the house. He doesn't see to have a gun because there's people standing in front of him. So I'm just watching him. And then how everybody's getting all riled up, They want to rush this guy at the door. So as soon as the other guy walks up into the house, the other guy starts shooting in the air. Like that's gonna scare anybody. Starts shooting in the air, but people did scatter out of the way. He goes in the house, closes the fucking door. Well, as he's going into the house, that's when I fired toward the door a couple times. And he goes into the house. But the music's really loud. And I noticed that everybody's still in there dancing in this living room. It doesn't seem to affect them. They don't hear nothing. So I go to the living room window and I just let off all the rounds I had in the fucking gun into the window. Can't see what I'm hitting. All I can see is the curtains moving. Every time a bullet hits, their curtains are moving. And I tell everybody, let's go. Let's get in the fucking house. Oh, before that though, before that had happened, before that guy had walked up, the girl I was with had told me she had to go to the bathroom. She's like, hey, I have to take a piss. And I'm like, fucking find a place to squat. She's like, no, tell this fucking guy to see if he let me use the bathroom. So I said, all right. So I take her to the door, just me and her. And I knock on the door and he opens the door. And I say, hey, April, can you do me a favor and let her in use the restroom? He's like, fuck you guys. The fuck you guys doing out here drinking all my beer? He started talking shit. And he had the metal door closed. I said, yeah, let me use the bathroom. He's like, nah, fuck you guys. And he closed the door. And I was like, all right, you motherfucker. So she ended up finding a place to squat. That's when the guy came around the corner. And that's why I didn't give a fuck. Like, fuck this dude. I'll rob this motherfucker right here. You know? Because I was pissed off the dude wouldn't let her use the restroom. So anyway, the shooting happens. Everybody, I tell everybody, get in the fucking cars, let's go. Once that happened, the music stopped. It was like quiet. Telling everybody, get in the fucking car, let's go. Well, 3 of the cars don't even take the people back that they brought. They're taking off. They end up leaving close to 12 people. We only had one car. Like close to 12 people. I think it was 12 people. And we're in a small SUV. That's all I can say. We're in a small SUV. And it seats 5. But we're packing everybody in there. In the back, the way back. People are laying onto each other. In the back seat, there's 6 people there. 2 people are sitting on each other's laps. In the front, there's 3 people. 1 driver, 1 passenger. No, 4 people. 1 driver, 2 passengers, 1 sitting on the lap. Somebody sitting on the center console. I'm sitting in the passenger seat with that girl on my lap. Everybody's in the car but 1 girl. And she's on the passenger side over here. And she's like, I'm not going to get in the car. And her man, my homeboy's down there, get in the fucking car and say, hey, tell this bitch to get in the car. We're going to leave her here. And he's like, telling her, get in the fucking car. She's like, I'm not getting in the car with you guys. Fuck that. So I say, hey, either you get out or we're taking off without her. We're leaving her here. So he jumps out. And I tell him, get the fuck out of here. Start walking. Get out of here. I'm not waiting no longer. Let's go. So we take off, hit the corner. I tell the guy, stop. I get out, grab my gun, and there was an RV right there in a driveway. So I put the gun in the wheel well of the RV, get back in, I'm gone. I'll come back and get it later. So we take off. And we're driving on the street, and this fucking dude is driving all crazy. We're not drunk. And I'm thinking this because he's scared. And I'm telling him, like, what the fuck are you doing? Stop driving like that. Because he's swerving all over the street. I'm like, stop driving like that. Drive fucking normal. You're going to get us caught. He's like, it's not me. It's the car. I'm like, what do you mean it's not you? It's the car. Stop fucking driving like that. So I tell him, you know what? Get the fuck out. Pull over and get out. So he gets out and I get out and I get into the driver's seat. As I'm about to get in, I can see that almost all the fucking tires are flat because there's too many people in the car. That's why he was swerving all over the place. So I'm like, shit. So I have to drive really slow. But you can hear the tires. They sound like they're flat. The thump, 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 thump. I'm like, fuck, man. So I'm driving down the main street, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, with all these fucking flat tires. I don't even get out of that city. I only get like maybe a mile away. And boom, fucking cops lights me up. And all of a sudden, the cops are just coming from everywhere. I pull over into a side street, and they surrounded us. That was all get out. We're laid out on the street. You know, like they said, about 12 people. There was 2 girls in the car. The one I was hanging around with, and another one. The other girl got left behind with the dude. So We're all laid on the street. They come and they handcuff me. I'm the driver. They come and handcuff me and they have me down on the floor. Or I'm just like, fuck, I'm done. That's it. I mean, these motherfuckers, they're gonna throw the book at me right now. You know, because obviously, I mean, if they were just pulling me over, it'd been one cop. But no, there was like 10 of them, 10 cop cars. So I'm thinking like, oh, they're it's because of the shooting, they pulled me over for that shit. So I remember I was laying on the floor and I was looking over at that girl. She was sitting on the curb. They didn't handcuff her or the other girl. They started zip tying everybody else, handcuffing everybody else on the floor. But the two girls they had to sit on the curb, and I'm probably like 10 feet away from her, and I'm like laying on the floor, I'm looking over at her, and I can see she's crying. And I was telling them, I go, I'm done. I mean, that's it. I just got out for the same shit. All the song and dance I gave the fucking parole board, and I'm back doing the same thing. But this time, it's even worse because I don't know how many people were in that house, who were in that living room, who got hit, I don't know the outcome of that. Even if nobody got hit, if there was 10, 15 people in that living room, they're going to charge me with every single one of them. And they're going to throw the book at me because I just got out for the same fucking crime. And I was on parole. I barely got out 5, 6 months. So I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm fucking done. I'm washed up. I'm never going to come home again. This is the last time that I'm going to fucking see the streets because I'm 18 years old now. I'm going to have to go finish off the next 6 years that I have on my other case. So I'll probably end up going to, YTS. From there, I'll get shot over to Chino and start this whole new case. Doing the time for this new case, which is, like I said, they're going to throw the book at me. I'll probably never come home. So I'm just like laying on the floor, like, damn, man, stupid, stupid. They have us there for like 45 minutes, man, just laying out there in the middle of the street. And one of the fucking cops come over and he grabs me by the back of my arm. He's like, lay on your side so I can pick you up. Stand up. So I stood up, thinking that he's gonna take me into the cop car. So I'm like, this is it, gone. He's like, turn around. I turned around and he takes the handcuffs off. They started picking up all the other guys, taking the handcuffs off and shit, breaking their zip ties. And he says, because where I was at, all I had to do was cross the street now, and I'm in my neighborhood. I'm in a different city. So he's like, get the fuck out of here. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I'm looking at him, thinking that he's gonna be like, playing a joke on me. Like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean, get out of here? So I'm staring at him. He's like, you heard me. You and your homies get the fuck out of my city. I was like, all right. He goes, only 5 of you can get in that car. It's only fit for 5 people. Only 5 people get in that car. The rest of you guys get the fuck out of here. Walk across the boulevard and get out of here. I said, all right. I turned around and got that girl, told the rest of the homeboys that right there, let's go. Let's hurry up and get across the fucking boulevard. So cross over to my neighborhood and I'm just like walking down the street and I can't believe what just happened. They caught me, but they let me go. And to be honest with you, because shit like this used to happen before back in the days, cops didn't want to do paperwork. Especially didn't want to do paperwork on 12 motherfuckers right there that were right there. They have to take 12 fucking statements. They have to take statements of all the people at that party. I mean, And it was a lot of paperwork they were gonna have to go through. A lot of shit that they didn't give a shit that we were out there killing each other for the most part. That's the way that I looked at it. Like they were like, fuck these guys. Why are we gonna sit here and do all this paperwork? Spend all night doing all this paperwork for these fucking guys they're just doing it anyway. So get the fuck out of here. And that's the only way. That's the only thing that I could think of because they caught me. All they had, unless the people at the party said they couldn't identify nobody. If that was the case, then that's a good thing. You know, that dude followed the rules, didn't say nothing, couldn't identify nobody. That would be a good thing. But on the other hand, it could be the cops just saying fuck it because they would do that kind of shit. They didn't give a shit that we were killing each other. They didn't want to do the paperwork. And a lot of times, that's why, you know, when I was talking before in another video, and I told my friend Mondo, do you miss the way things used to be? That's the kind of shit that I'm talking about. Because we used to do whatever the fuck we wanted to, for the most part. Every once in a while, you're gonna find a fucking cop that felt that he needed to do his job. You know what I mean? He was a Citizen Joe cop. He wanted to do his job. And there's other cops that just didn't give a shit. There was cops out there that would drop us off in other people's neighborhoods, in our enemies' neighborhoods, and they would get on their fucking loudspeaker on their cars and go down into a neighborhood where they knew those dudes hung out and start calling them out on their intercom. And they would open the back doors because you couldn't open from the inside, so they get outdoors and get the fuck out. And there was time where you say, "Nah, I'm not getting out. Fuck you, take me to jail." They would drag your ass out. If you didn't get out, they beat the shit out of you. So you're gonna get ass women from them, and you're gonna get ass women from the dudes that catch you, unless they killed you. So you had no other choice. They would do that shit constantly to us, and we'd get out, and we were staying to fight. As soon as we got out, we were jumping fences because we were being chased. There were a lot of crooked cops. They would beat the shit out of us. I remember there's these other cops used to. One day they pulled me over. They pulled us over, and fucking daytime. It was in the daytime, probably like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know what they put on the hood of their car, but it was kind of like made like petroleum jelly. It was smeared over the whole front of the car, over the hood, thick. We used to dress nice. I used to always have my clothes creased out, just nice. All of us did. We took pride in the way that we dressed, and they knew that. And so they get us in front of the car and they're like, put your hands on the car. Now they've been driving around all day. The hood's fucking hot. They got this petroleum jelly shit all over the hood. They put your hands on the hood so we frisk you. Like, I'm not putting my hands on all that shit you got. I'm not putting my hands in there. Boom, they slam you onto it. Get that shit all over your clothes, all over your hands. Shit's hot. And they hold you down. They pat in your pockets and your waist and shit like that. If once they did it to one person, the rest of the guys just fuck it, put their hands on the hood. This shit's all hot, but they'd rather get the shit on there. But they would get pushed. Some of them would get pushed down to the hood too. And those guys were from Lennox Sheriffs. Lennox Sheriffs were some dirty motherfuckers who do shit like that. Lennox Sheriffs were the same motherfuckers that would drop us off in our enemy's neighborhood. Lennox Sheriffs are the same ones that when we were 13, 14 years old, they would catch us and hit us over the head with their mag lights, smack you across the face, have you on their car, kicking your legs from the inside of your legs. A lot of them Lennox Sheriffs were dirty fucking cops. But one thing that we didn't do, like these kids nowadays do, because they have their fucking phones, we never complained. We never went back home and complained. You know, I didn't go back home and tell my mom that, hey, this fucking cop's want to beat me up and all this shit. And the reason why? Because my mother would tell me, well, then your ass shouldn't be out in the streets late at night. What the fuck are you doing in the streets? Keep your ass in the house. Then you wouldn't have these problems. You know, so my mom wasn't going to fucking call the police and make a report. She'd be pissed off at me because I was out in the streets. And she would tell me, it's your fucking fault. She was right. We didn't complain. We didn't tell them the cops. It was the game. It was the game that we played. They were the cops. They were the good guys. We were the bad guys. Well, some of them were good guys. Some were fucking idiots. You know, but we were the bad guys. So we took it the way it was. We didn't fucking snitch on the cops either. So yeah, I got lucky that day, and but after that, just things, more shit. Things started to snowball, and I was getting into more and more and more problems, and I was getting away with every single one of them. But I said, one day you're gonna get fucking caught. You're gonna get caught. So that's when I ended up taking off back to Fresno. I was out for like a year before I went to Fresno. I left to Fresno in '93. Same shit out there. You know, trouble didn't find me. I was always looking for trouble. But yeah, so that happened. I almost, if I would have got, if they would have, if that shit would have went through, I wouldn't be here right now. I know that I would still be locked up. If I would have did the time that they're trying to give me for the first case, the 30 years, I would barely be getting out. I would barely have gotten out a couple years ago from the first time when they were trying to give me 30 years. End up getting 8. But like I said, on this other one, I would have never came home. They would have threw the book at me, and that would have been it. So yeah, that's the story of those cops that were. I think they were just crooked cops that didn't want to do paperwork, and how I got away with that shit. So, anyways, like I said, keep watching the videos, like and subscribe, share them. Anything you want me to talk about, let me know, and I can do videos on it. So, thank you.